everybody. I am so excited because we are finally launching another great episode of Marilyn Behind the Icon Soul Sisters. This is such a special episode, and it has so many wonderful parts to it. It will allow you to dive a little deeper into Marilyn. It will also give you the opportunity to see the different sides. So I'm Nina Bosque. I'm one of the producers of Marilyn Behind the Icon, and I'm going to send it to Mr. Randall Libero, but you've got to show people your t-shirt too. So hi, Randall.
Well, this is a t-shirt, which is a text that's actually displayed in the movie Some Like It Hot at the time when the gangsters have their banquet. So if you're a fan of that film, you know that's what it says on the wall. So anyway, really appreciate all the support that we got to make this episode. It's been a little bit of a roller coaster getting it all done, but we're going to put it out there. It'll be ready out for everyone around the world to listen to on Monday, the 22nd. So we're really excited for everyone to hear this, and this being the 60th anniversary of Marilyn's passing. And I'll just hand it off to Gary and whatever you want to say, Gary.
Hi, I'm Gary Vitaco Robles, and this episode is really one of the most personal ones so far. And this talks about Marilyn's commitment to the civil rights movement and her very warm relationship with Ella Fitzgerald. And there was a 1955 radio interview in which Marilyn said that Ella Fitzgerald was her favorite female singer, but that she also loved her as a person. And Marilyn didn't go on record publicly talking about those she loved aside from her husbands. And so that speaks volumes to her relationship with this woman. And Ella Fitzgerald also credited Monroe for, she said she owed her a huge debt in agenting gigs for her and upscale nightclubs. So this is a story that really needed to be told, and it needed to be told at this point in time in our history.
I love it. And, one of the things that, Gary, we've seen it over the years, Ella Fitzgerald and the Marilyn Monroe story totally get hacked. Unfortunately, by me in the beginning too, because I certainly would say, "Oh, some club, and whatever." Will you set the record straight for people? Because a lot of people get this wrong about the nightclub and why she wasn't able to sing in those nightclubs. Because a lot of people think it's with race, but it's a little bit more dynamic than that.
Yeah, it has more to do with physical appearance. That Ella Fitzgerald didn't fit the societal preference for, thin, glamorous, blonde appearance. And so it was probably a bias about that. But there's also some confusion about the venue. And I think Ella actually might have created this, as we're reflecting back upon our life. Sometimes we don't always remember the names of nightclubs accurately. And so she was referencing Monroe being present every night to support her at the Macombo and in 1955. So the Macombo was in Los Angeles and Monroe was in New York at the time. And Ella's run at the Macombo was photographed heavily, and Marilyn is not in those photographs. So it's very possible that Ella was actually recalling Monroe being present multiple times during a run that she had at the Tiffany Club. And so the venue is maybe not accurate, but I think the gist of it is that Marilyn agented it, supported it, and probably in Ella's mind, Monroe really was there because she was there in spirit, and she was the one who contacted and invited all of the celebrities to support Ella. And so Ella never had to play a third-rate gig again.
Never again. So that's beautiful. Let's move to Aaron, and then I'm going to move to Monique right after that, and then we're going to move to Brad, Tiffany, Naomi. Okay. So Aaron, our lovely Marilyn Monroe, Aaron Gavin, who's played her in all of our episodes. So how do you feel about this episode, Aaron?
Hi. Well, I really feel that you guys will make the audience feel whether they love the two characters or not. It's very heartwarming and it's very soulful, and it just makes you think about other relationships that are going on in your own life, you know. So even if whoever's listening, if they're a fan or not a fan, I feel like they will get something from this episode either way.
Beautiful, beautiful. And how about you, Monique? You are playing our lovely Ella Fitzgerald, and those are not easy shoes to fill as well. But you're just as talented as Erin is to Marilyn. You are to Ella. So talk to us a little bit about how this role feels for you.
So first things I want to say is you have created a really wonderful script and brought together a beautiful cast of characters to really play these roles. And I feel very honored to have been a part of it. I feel that this episode is such a gift to anyone who hasn't really paid much attention to these two women. They just know about them as icons in the world. But this episode is a beautiful entry point in to really seeing the women behind the image that we now have in our memories and what people created before. They're strong, powerful, determined, compassionate, vulnerable, really beautiful souls. We'll put them in the category of women, but they're just dynamic, beautiful souls. And it's such a gift to be able to be a part of this. So thank you.
Oh, and thank you. And I think, the fact that, Gary entitled this Soul Sisters, I think it does have soul. And I think it's a very telling time in history where we need to get our soul back on so many levels. It's just, it's a moving time. But hey, Brad, you've been our narrator from the get-go. And thank you, Monique, for that too. You've been our narrator from the get-go. How do you feel about being part of this series, not just this podcast, because this podcast is a little bit different, but you've been with us from the beginning.
This, honestly, I was one of those guys that, I knew who Marilyn was, and I knew she was an important figure. I was one of the people who was fascinated without knowing that I was fascinated. And when Gary and Randall and you started opening up what this story meant to everybody, especially everyone that knew her and loved her, it took it to another level for me. And I remember just when I started voicing the audition portion to get the job, and I was so happy to book this job because I had a feeling this was going to be something really, really important. And it's just grown and grown and grown, and it's become just sort of this thing that's just always with me. And I remember I was reading for some parts that I didn't actually end up doing. Randall, you remember this? I was doing an ensemble read with Erin, and I was doing a part of Joe. And I remember the script was so good and her acting was so good that I had tears pouring out of my eyes when I was doing these roles and then going back and forth between it. It was gripping, and it just became part of me. So I'm thrilled. I am really thrilled to be part of this.
Well, and we're so happy to have you. You know how I feel about your voice. I use the word yummy a lot.
Well, you can use that word all you want to describe.
Yes, it's just yummy, So I'm so excited to see where we can take this series, because it's really just getting started.
I just have to say something really quick.
Yeah, sure.
I didn't know how talented Erin was until watching her face to face on Zoom become Marilyn Monroe. This is literally what I did the first time I heard it. Was like, wait, what? Who's what?
Don't
Are you
forget, make me
kidding me?
cry.
And it was just this magical transformation that I'll never forget it.
Oh, that's so sweet. Well, it makes me feel very good to hear that, because that means I've done my job well. And now you're gonna make me cry.
Just like that time when we were doing that scene. It's like,
yeah.
Well, there is something special about this one, and I think they're all your children, in terms of episodes. But this one definitely it has two things that I think is really making a statement from Gary's vision: is civil and human rights. Big topic today, and big topic because we're living in a world of divide. Tiffany, you and I talked a lot about this in our chat too, and that's really important because we need hope. And I think that one of the things that the Marilyns series does for people is lets them know that Aaron or Marilyn, as the case may be, was a person that overcame a lot in her short life. And even though she lived to 36 years old, what she overcame to get there and to do that takes a tremendous amount of resiliency and vision. And so to give people that as well, and to do the give back with the mental health aspect of it and the addiction aspect of it, has a whole other layer to it that I just find so magical, on top of Aaron, your performance and everybody else. So thank you, Brad, for that. We couldn't do this series also without that yummy voice of yours. So thank you so much. Tiffany, let's go to you, and then we're going to go to Naomi. And Tiffany played in our earlier episodes, and she was a dynamic actress in this, completely playing a different role in the earlier episodes. In this role, you're playing Ida May, who is Marilyn's traveling assistant. So with that said, Gary, talk a little bit before Tiffany steps in about what this scene is about. So we're going to give the taste to the audience a little bit about what they're going to hear.
Well, during the production of Some Like It Hot, Marilyn was working at the Sam Goldwyn Studios, and she was assigned a studio maid, Ida Mae Zanders. And so the production needed to go down to the Coronado Del Mar Hotel in the San Diego area, which was a white-only establishment. And there was a piece of memorabilia auctioned, which documented the fact that Marilyn insisted upon bringing Ida Mae. And this created a problem for the production of Some Like It Hot and for the hotel. And Marilyn insisted that if she were going to this establishment, Ida Mae was going with her. And so Marilyn took charge of this situation and made sure that the assistant director made sure Ida Mae was there. And we're talking about the production of a movie which kind of pushed the barriers of censorship, and they were kind of okay about pushing the boundaries there about the emerging sexual revolution, but many people were still not ready to push at the boundaries of segregation.
Right.
And so in the context of the story, Marilyn convinces them, if we're willing to do it for the material, why aren't we willing to do it for our brothers and sisters? And so it's accurate and it's real, that scene.
And Tiffany, you play her with such charm and mischievousness. Now there you are. I adore your acting in this, because you just play her with just enough, I'm going to get you back, even though you're not. So talk to us about how that was to play this scene.
Well, I'm going to piggyback off of what Gary said. I think that it's awesome that you guys didn't exclude this particular part, and it's coming to life in this particular time in our society right now. And then just to piggyback on what Monique said, we're talking about two dynamic women and just being able to showcase who Marilyn was. She made Ida Mae feel like part of the family. So Ida Mae was a little bit sassy, and she had the security feeling that she had the right to be sassy because of the bond that her and Marilyn had. So the fact that I was able to be a part of it, I'm still in shock. I know that this is going to go great, be great, but I just think it was a perfect solution for where we are now, because it's showing two strong women were able to unite during a time where people didn't want them to unite. And it's just giving us today that reminder that it's up to each of us to do our part. So Marilyn was about it. And when he came in her room and said, "Oh no, they're not having that," she said, "Well, you better make it happen. We're pushing boundaries. So we're not going to stop now." So just to be a part of that now, it's awesome. And I enjoyed it. I can't wait to see what happens next. And hey, look out for Ida Mae.
Go Ida Mae, go Ida Mae. I love it. That's great. Thank you, Tiffany. And Naomi. All right, talk to us.
Well, I'm Naomi, and I play Ethel Kennedy in this episode, but I've played some other parts as well earlier in the series, and it's just been a joy to work on this. I've been fascinated with Marilyn Monroe for a really long time, and she's, as kind of as Monique was saying, she's so much more than the blonde bombshell that she's sort of popularly remembered as. She was a complex and troubled and yet brilliant and resilient person, and this podcast has always done her story justice. I think it's been important to tell the full picture of her life, including a lot of the tragedy that she suffered and endured and overcame, and then also the strength that she possesses, as others have said, and we see that particularly in this episode, and the humanism and the socio-political beliefs that she had that we often forget. So it's great to see her done justice in this way.
And being the fact that you have been multiple characters now, okay, how does it feel playing this? Because she's iconic too, and Ethel Kennedy is still alive too. So how does that feel, playing somebody that it's not somebody from the past, it's actually somebody from the present playing the past?
Well, it was honestly a bit daunting. I mean, I didn't, I of course had to research her because I wasn't sure exactly how she sounded. And when you hear Kennedy, you automatically think it's going to be, ask not what your country can do for you. She's obviously married into the family, so she didn't have that stereotypical Kennedy voice. And of course, I wanted to do her justice and hopefully not caricature her. So it was a real treat to do that research. I very rarely have played actual living people, so it was a great opportunity.
All right, we have, last but not least, Mr. Eddie Lobo, who plays the very famous costume designer, Billy Trevia. Most of you Marilyn fans know his work. We're talking the elegant cocktail white, off-white dress that Marilyn wore. He was responsible for the very beautiful satin pink dress in Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend. He was Yes, yay. Can you say
my
that
favorite line?
Yes, can you say that one more time, Mr. Eddie Lobo? So how was it like playing him, and what is it like being part of the cast?
It's really different, especially coming from being in front of a camera to having to convey everything just through voice. So keeping it real was really interesting. But when I actually read the script, as far as the whole dynamic of being persecuted because they were supporting somebody of a different color, and the way the studios did not respect the entertainers and the life of their work and what they brought to the project, but actually treated them as a lot of us would if we bought a new car. They were more of an object, and it's very inspiring, because in many cases, and through this particular podcast, Marilyn, who a lot of people just thought was this airhead blonde that just walked around with her very soft voice doing her thing, she was actually a pioneer in many ways by utilizing and realizing her position, especially with a very expensive project, she didn't play the diva card, but she wanted to make changes. Through this particular episode, she made a very strong stand, and in doing so, I feel that she made a lot of changes, and she realized, a lot of people don't realize, and they'll learn more as they listen to these episodes, that this was not a dingy dumb blonde. She was very intelligent. The unfortunate thing with Marilyn is, I think she just wanted to put a lot of her trust in people, and a lot of people led her wrong. And so there was a lot of misconceptions, and I think all Marilyn wanted was to be loved. And she worked hard at what she did, but she was the beginning of a pioneer. I mean, we have Betty Davis. There's a lot of women, Mary Tyler Moore, Oprah Winfrey. These women all came, and I think their strength came from originally people like Marilyn Monroe. So being a part of this is was really, reading the lines and stuff. It's really about what we're working on today, and again, being part of a community of people where we're persecuted and we're singled out. I came up from the 80s. It started in the 60s, a little before me. I was still in diapers, but in my time, we still had to overcome, and we're still overcoming. So I understand. And of course, in that period of time, in the years where she was, really becoming that big star, it was much worse, and especially for women. And she really drove it home, how to stand up for herself and how to make changes.
Thank you so much, Eddie. And it's so wonderful. We're so excited because we're actually is coming up on Tuesday, February 22nd. It's going to launch at 2:22 p.m. Okay? Or will it be a.m.? You have to find out, right? So, but it is going to be 2:22 at 2:22. So how's that for a powerful numerology number? Want to thank the cast. I want to make sure that from all of us on the production side, how thankful we are to have you, because we could not do this without you, the cast, and we certainly couldn't do this without you, the audience. And so you get a chance to meet the cast. They're very passionate about it. Please, everybody that's watching this, share, because the only way this is going to catch on is if it starts to really go viral. And we need your support. We need your help. If you believe in these episodes, please, write a podcast review, share it with your friends, tell your people, then your people that you know about it, and get the word out there, because the more that we can do that, the more episodes that can come. And so for everybody behind the icon, all the producers, the cast, if you guys could just wave and say bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.